Let me tell you a story about my life. When I started my career, my first year income was $14,400. 12 years later, that number had jumped to $1,440,000. I had increased my income by 100 times in 12 years. People ask me all the time, Brian, how did you do it? What's the secret? And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. But I warn you, when you hear it, you might be disappointed because it's not dramatic. It's not sexy. It's not some revolutionary new technique that nobody's ever heard of. It's simple, almost too simple. And that's why most people never do it. I call it the 1000% formula. And it's based on a principle the Japanese call Kaizen, the principle of continuous improvement, getting just a little bit better each day. Now here's my question for you. Could you improve your productivity, performance, and output by 1/10 of 1% each day? Just 0.1%. That's 1/1000th improvement per working day. Could you do that? Of course you could. Anyone could. It's so small, it's almost invisible. But let me show you what happens when you do this consistently. If you become 1/10 of 1% more productive each day, 5 days per week, at the end of 1 week, you'll be 1/2 of 1% more productive. At the end of 4 weeks, you'll be 2% more productive. At the end of 52 weeks, you'll be 26% more productive than you were at the beginning of the year. Now, 26% might not sound earth-shattering, but here's where it gets interesting. By becoming 26% more productive over the course of a year and continuing to improve by 1/10 of 1% per day, you'll actually double your overall productivity, performance, and output in 2.7 years. But it doesn't stop there. If you continue learning, growing, becoming more effective and efficient, an improvement of 26% per year, compounded over 10 years, will result in an increase of 1,004% in your overall productivity in 1 decade. That's right, 10 times more productive, 10 times more valuable. And if your productivity is proportional to your income, that means 10 times your income in 10 years. That's exactly what happened to me, and it can happen to you. But here's what you need to understand. This doesn't happen by accident. This doesn't happen by hoping or wishing or trying. This happens through a specific, deliberate process that you must follow every single day. And I'm going to share with you the exact 7-step formula that I use to increase my income by 100 times. The same formula that has worked for thousands of my students. The same formula that will work for you if you actually implement it. Step number 1 is what I call the golden hour. Every morning you must get up 1 hour earlier than you do now and invest that hour in yourself. Not in email, not in social media, not in the news, in yourself. During this golden hour, you read something uplifting, educational, motivational, or spiritual. If you're in sales, read something that will improve your selling skills. If you need motivation, read something motivational. If you want to grow spiritually, read something spiritually uplifting. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. And here's what most people don't realize. If you read for 1 hour every morning, you'll go through approximately 1 book per week. That's 50 books per year. Do you know what 50 books a year is equivalent to? A full doctoral degree. You'll have more knowledge in your field than 99% of people working in it. I've been reading for an hour every morning for decades. It's the single most important habit I've ever developed, because what you feed your mind first thing in the morning determines how you think for the rest of the day. Most people wake up and immediately check their phone. They fill their mind with other people's problems, other people's agendas, other people's negativity, and then they wonder why they feel reactive and stressed all day. Don't do this. Protect your golden hour like your life depends on it, because it does. Step number 2, turn your car into a mobile university. I learned this early in my career when I was driving all over the place for sales calls. Instead of listening to the radio or music, I started listening to educational audio programs. And let me tell you something that will shock you. A study at the University of Southern California found that if you listen to educational audio programs as you drive around, you get practically the same benefits as full-time educational attendance at a university. In fact, it's even better because you get to choose exactly what you want to learn. You can focus on the skills that are most valuable to you right now. The average person spends 500 to 1,000 hours per year in their car. That's the equivalent of 12 to 25 university semesters. Think about that. You have the equivalent of multiple university degrees worth of time just sitting in your car every year. But most people waste it. They listen to the same songs over and over. They listen to talk radio. They listen to nothing. And then they complain that they don't have time to learn new skills. You have the time. You're just not using it. Step number 3, plan every day in advance. This is one of the most powerful productivity techniques I've ever discovered. Every night before you go to bed, make a list of everything you need to do the next day. Write it all down, everything, even small tasks like eating lunch or working out. Then, and this is critical, you organize your list by asking yourself, if I could only do one thing on this list tomorrow, which one thing would have the greatest positive impact on my life and work? Circle that task. That's your number 1. Then ask, if I could only do 2 things, what would be number 2? And what would be number 3? Planning your day in advance increases your productivity by 25%. 25%. Just from spending 15 minutes the night before writing down what you need to do and organizing it by priority. Why does this work? Because when you write down your goals and tasks before you sleep, your subconscious mind thinks about them all night. Your brain is processing how to accomplish these tasks while you're sleeping. So when you wake up in the morning, you already have clarity. You already have momentum. You don't waste time wondering what to do next. Step number 4, and this is crucial. Eat that frog first thing in the morning. Your frog is your biggest, most important, most difficult task, the one you're most likely to procrastinate on, the one that will make the biggest difference if you complete it. Mark Twain once said that if the first thing you do each morning is eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day. Most people do the opposite. They start their day by checking email. They respond to other people's priorities. They do the easy, comfortable tasks first. They tell themselves they're warming up, getting ready, building momentum. But they're really just procrastinating. They're avoiding the frog. And by the end of the day, the frog is still sitting there, getting bigger and uglier in their mind. So they go home feeling frustrated and behind, even though they were busy all day. Here's what I do, and what I teach all my students to do. When you start work in the morning, start immediately on your number 1 task. Not email, not phone calls, not checking messages, your number one task, and discipline yourself to work on that task and only that task until it's complete. No multitasking, no switching, no distractions. Just focus on your most important task until it's done. When you do this, when you eat your frog first thing every morning, everything else in your day becomes easier. You've already accomplished the most important thing. Everything else is downhill from there. Step number 5. Ask yourself the magic questions after every experience. I call them magic questions because if you use them consistently, they will literally transform your life. The 2 questions are, what did I do right? And what would I do differently next time? After every meeting, every sales call, every presentation, every important interaction, you ask yourself these 2 questions and write down the answers. Notice what I'm not asking. I'm not asking, what did I do wrong? That's important because when you ask what you did wrong, you focus on failure. You reinforce negative patterns. But when you ask what you did right, you focus on success. You identify what's working. You build confidence. And when you ask what you would do differently, not what you did wrong, you're focusing on improvement, not on blame. You're looking forward, not backward. This subtle shift in language makes a massive difference in how you think about your performance. I've been using these magic questions for decades. After every speech I give, every meeting I have, every important decision I make, I ask myself these 2 questions, and I write down the answers. This practice alone has probably contributed more to my success than any other single habit, because it forces you to learn from every experience. It turns every event into a learning opportunity. Most people go through experiences and learn nothing. They make the same mistakes over and over. But when you ask these questions consistently, you're constantly extracting lessons, constantly improving, constantly getting better. Step number 6. Practice the golden rule with everyone you meet. Treat every person you encounter as if they were the most important person in the world. Make them feel valuable. Make them feel respected. Make them feel heard. Why? Because you get back what you put out. When you treat people with respect and kindness, they treat you the same way. You build positive relationships. You create a network of people who want to help you succeed. You develop a reputation as someone who cares about others. And in business and in life, your relationships determine everything. I learned this lesson early. When I was struggling, when I was nobody, there were people who treated me with kindness and respect even though they had nothing to gain from it. And I never forgot those people. Years later, when I was successful, I went out of my way to help them. That's how the world works. People remember how you make them feel, and they remember it for a long time. So treat everyone well, not because of what they can do for you today, but because of who they might become tomorrow. And more importantly, because of who you become when you treat others with genuine respect and care. Step number 7, the final step. Do something every single day that moves you toward your most important goal. Every single day. No exceptions, no excuses, no holidays. This is what I call the practice of continuous action. And it's the habit that separates people who achieve extraordinary things from people who don't. Most people are inconsistent. They work hard for a few days, then take a break. They make progress, then lose momentum. They start strong, then fade. And they wonder why they never reach their goals. But success doesn't come from occasional massive effort. Success comes from small, consistent actions taken every single day. It's the compound effect. It's the law of accumulation. By the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Think about this. If you do something every day that moves you toward your goal, no matter how small, in 1 year, you'll have taken 365 actions. In 5 years, over 1,800 actions. That's not luck. That's not talent. That's just consistency. That's just refusing to quit. That's just showing up every day and doing the work, whether you feel like it or not. And here's the beautiful part about this formula. These 7 steps build on each other. When you read for an hour every morning, you get ideas. When you listen to audio programs in your car, you reinforce those ideas. When you plan your day the night before, you know exactly which ideas to implement. When you eat your frog first thing, you actually implement them. When you ask the magic questions, you learn from the implementation. When you treat people well, you build relationships that accelerate your progress. And when you do something every day, you create unstoppable momentum. I've seen this formula work thousands of times. I've taught it to people in every industry, every profession, every level of success. And the results are always the same. People who implement these 7 steps consistently transform their lives, not overnight, not magically, but inevitably. Because when you improve by just 0.1% each day, when you compound that improvement over time, you become a fundamentally different person. You develop skills that most people don't have. You build habits that most people won't build. You achieve results that most people can't achieve. But here's what you need to understand. This formula only works if you actually do it. Not just think about it, not just agree with it, actually implement it every single day, for weeks, for months, for years. Most people will hear these 7 steps and think, that's interesting, that makes sense. And then they'll do nothing. They'll go back to their old habits. They'll keep waiting for some magic solution that requires no effort. And they'll keep getting the same results they've always gotten. But you can be different. You can make the decision right now that starting tomorrow morning, you're going to implement this formula. You're going to get up 1 hour earlier and read during your golden hour. You're going to turn your car into a mobile university. You're going to plan every day in advance. You're going to eat your frog first thing every morning. You're going to ask the magic questions after every experience. You're going to treat everyone like they're the most important person in the world. And you're going to do something every single day that moves you toward your most important goal. And if you do this, if you actually do this consistently, here's what will happen. In 30 days, you'll notice you're thinking more clearly. You're more focused. You're more productive. In 90 days, you'll notice real changes in your results. You're accomplishing more. You're earning more. You're progressing faster. In 6 months, people around you will start commenting on how much you've changed. In 1 year, you'll look back and barely recognize the person you were. And in 10 years, you'll have increased your productivity, your value, and your income by 10 times. This is not theory. This is not motivation. This is mathematics. 0.1% improvement per day equals 26% per year equals 1,000% in 10 years. It's the law of compound interest applied to personal development. Einstein called compound interest the most powerful force in the universe. And he was right. When you compound small improvements over time, you create extraordinary results. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just listen to this and forget it. Don't just think it's a nice idea. Make the decision right now. that you're going to become a 1,000% person. Make the commitment that you're going to implement these 7 steps starting tomorrow morning. Write down the steps, put them somewhere you'll see them every day, and then do them every single day, no matter what, because your life will transform faster than you can imagine, not because of luck, not because of talent, but because you made the decision to improve every single day, because you understood that success is not about giant leaps, it's about tiny steps taken consistently over time, because you committed to the process of continuous improvement. That's the 1,000% formula. That's how I increased my income by 100 times. And that's how you can transform your life. The only question is, will you actually do it?